right in the middle, and I had nothing to do.
Yeah.
So I had to sit around Hong Kong for a week or 10 days waiting for things. But it became very friendly, and I enjoyed. I always got along well with international people, and it's some people do and some people don't. You talk about the ugly American. I just seem to get along with. I always try to learn a little bit of the language. Most places, like in Brazil, they spoke English. Asia, they spoke English. Mexico was an American that ran the joint venture down there. But it was interesting when I used to go to Germany. I sat in at Bosch there. I'd sit in on in a conference room with them, 8 or 10 guys, and they didn't know that I knew that. First of all, they didn't know I was Jewish, so the Yiddish is a little bit comparable to the German, but I also knew a little bit of German, which I'd picked up, and they didn't know that, but I never told them. I would just sit there and I'd listen to them, and some things I would understand, and some things I wouldn't understand. And one day I said to one of the men after a meeting, I said, "Tell me something." Oh, and the president of the company had his master's from Columbia. He spoke English very well, but some of the other guys didn't speak English. I said, "I sit here and I listen to you guys. All of a sudden, one fellow is saying to the other, 'Tell me again. What did you just say?' I said, 'You're all German. How come he doesn't understand them?' So he laughed. He said, 'One guy's from Prussia, 2 guys are from Bavaria, another guy is from northeast Hamburg, northwestern Germany. Their accents are different. They really, certain words they don't understand. And every so often we have to explain.' I said, 'No, that's very interesting. It's like the South and the North of the United States.' But yeah, it was 1980 I made my first trip to China.
Yeah.
It was an experience.
I bet it was incredible.
Yeah. Enjoyed it. And then when we started buying stuff directly from China, I made a trip to Beijing and a town called Dalian up in northeastern China. And I was what they call a guilo, whiteface. People didn't see Americans up there. This is now it's pretty common. In fact, I was just reading about the city of Dalian has become a major industrial place in China. But so I've gotten around. It's been fun, and I think I've accomplished some pretty good things. And I did some dumb things over the years. Not dumb, but just you reflect back and you say, I could have done a better job. Why did I do that?
Yeah.
So one of the things I've always told my kids, if you're in a meeting, you do the best you can, whatever. When you come back out of it, just sit back and say, hey, is there something I could have said differently, that I could have handled differently? Because if you don't, you may make the same mistake the second time, another time around.
Yeah, some self-reflection.
Yeah,
helpful.
right. Just the way you approach things sometimes, you just don't, you can't think on your feet that fast all the time.
Right.
It's easier afterward,
Right.
but it's a learning process. But it was fun. I can't think of anything I would rather have done in my career than all the things I've done. It's just been way beyond my expectation. Because we were talking about this the other day, I wouldn't say I was an introvert when I was a teenager, but I was not I had a cousin, a little bit older cousin, he was 6 months older than me, became a doctor, my favorite cousin. As we were growing up, I always admired his ability to talk to grown-ups, and to me I wasn't that comfortable with him. But I think the Army changed me mostly. And then you're into the middle of things, you got to get involved. So it's been a good trip. I've enjoyed it.
I really appreciate you sharing the stories with me.
Well, it's kind of garbled, but I look back and like some of the things, the the specific things that, like the porticolor thing where the boss said, "Mr. Wexler, are you the product service manager? Are you in charge of this task force?" "Yes, sir." "Yes or no? Don't tell me anything else. Should we or shouldn't we?"
Yeah.
It was good. He was a good guy, tough but good guy. He was a general manager, and I was down, a couple levels from him.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, well, I look
that's-
forward. I've got more questions for maybe another day, and thanks.
Whatever. Now or whatever. If you got anything you want to ask them.
Yeah, maybe we'll switch topics another day and
Okay.
get through some more things. So, thank you so much.
Well, it's my pleasure.